Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the largest pyramid in the world. I'm real quick. I'm here at home in San Pedro, just chilling. We got some container ships probably on their way to somewhere off in Asia with empty containers, and they're going to fill them up because we don't do much exporting. It's mainly importing here. Anyways, there's a harbor sea line somewhere right there. If you can see where my finger's at, right there. That guy right there. That's a sea line right there. He just looks like he's tanning. Anyways, so what I wanted to touch on today was something that many people don't know. So the largest pyramid in the world is not in Egypt. It's not in Asia. It's in Mexico. It's in the city of Cholula, which is inside Puebla. Puebla is a state, but also a city. And it's by volume, so it's not by height. So we're going by size, right? Not height. I believe the ones in Egypt are taller. And then there's also taller pyramids in Mexico, as well as Guatemala has, I believe, Tikal, and one other one that are even taller than the ones in Mexico. But we're going by size, so large. The largest pyramid in the world is in Mexico. It is Cholula. It's a small town, beautiful area. I've been there a couple times. I've visited the pyramid, and it's always worth it. The experience is breathtaking. Each time I get a hostel or anything like that, or a hotel or whatever, the views in Puebla. For those of you who get the chance to go out there, please do so. If you've been there before, leave me a comment about that. I'd like to hear about that, especially other people who can relate to this. Volcanoes. I'm trying to describe the type of environment it is in Puebla. So you've got volcanoes, hills, beautiful city, beautiful culture. Love Mexico. I think I can't think of anywhere else I would love to just continuously travel to and keep going back to, and I do so. I've been doing so for the last few years. And so yeah, in regards to size, the largest pyramid in the world. The dating of this pyramid is obviously from zero Christ's existence, current era, Christ era, whatever, to who knows how far back we can go to. The pyramid has everything from tunnels. It has multiple layers. So from my understanding, it was constructed over different periods of time, and the tunnels show that. You can see different types of construction and different levels and things like that. There's also some good diagrams if you ever get to visit out there, or just go on the internet. You'll be able to see it on, I'm sure they have a good website where they can show that. But yeah, so to take that into account, it's not just the largest pyramid in Mexico. It's not just the largest pyramid on this continent. It's not just the largest pyramid in the south or in the east or in the west. It's the largest pyramid in the world. You got any other data to counter this? Please let me know and inform me, because I've yet to see this information. The only thing that I would say puts a bit of a stain on this pyramid, it has nothing to do with the pyramid itself. It's because of the colonialism that my people have gone through the generations, unfortunately, of course. There's so many churches in Cholula. I think Cholula alone, or Puebla alone, has over 300 to 400. I think that's what I was looking up. And other than Mexico City and Puebla, those are one of the two most populated places in regards to churches, having churches, which is the staple of colonialism, right? You go in there, you tell people that everything they're doing is barbaric and wrong, and you even throw in some lies and some dirt and shade in there. And then what you do is you take their resources, you take everything from their food, you sometimes take the men with violence, and you have people who've had their land, their resources taken, enslaved at times for plantations. Spaniards are famous for that. So the only stain on this is that in this current era, the pyramid is not entirely uncovered. It hasn't been fully excavated to the point where the public can go and visit every step, every field, every layer. Even the tunnels themselves, the tunnels have been closed, from my understanding, somewhere between right before we hit 2020, somewhere around there. Because when I went, it was, I think I went 4 years ago. Then I went probably like a year ago. Then I went maybe like 2 years ago before that. And I've never been allowed to go inside the tunnels. Obviously, I'd love to. And it going back to it not being uncovered. The worst part about this, on top of having 300-400 churches in the city, meaning there's plenty of churches, there's no shortage of churches, there's no excuse that you can logically come up with to say that we need this extra church, this 301, 401 church, we need that one, so much so that we can't begin excavating the pyramid to its full extent. So we're just going to keep it as is. So what it is Cholula. I would say half of it is still covered up with dirt. And at the top, the Spaniards went and built a church as a direct insult, as a way of insulting generations of civilizations that have been there prior to the Spanish conquest, the French invasion, the European invasion. They built a church right on top as an insult, and to this day they refuse to remove it so that we can get further understanding of our history, our culture, for archaeological purposes, for the world to understand this even better. How is it that the largest pyramid in the world isn't fully excavated? There's no logic behind that other than greed, politics, you know what I mean? People's blind faith in this European religion, being Catholicism, Christianity, whatever else you want to throw in there. So that's the only stain I could maybe highlight. Outside of that, beautiful. The acoustics, the architecture, the engineering. There's a vibration, a feeling you have, and then you can't. At least for me, I'm compelled. I can't help but feel this vibration, this feeling when I'm there. There's no need for a cup of coffee or any type of drugs, all you are is present. For me personally, I'm speaking from my experience. I'm present every time I'm there. I feel nothing but gratitude. I feel a sense of connection with my ancestors and with my people. And that's not the same for everybody. You're gonna see a lot of people just snacking on food and on their phone, just taking in that brain rot. You're gonna see people at bars, all that. But if you're fortunate enough to take a trip out to Puebla, Mexico, and make that happen for yourself, you won't be sorry. Or your money back guaranteed. I'll Venmo you your flight ticket if you really don't like it that much. So on top of architecture, engineering, the acoustics, the sound, the atmosphere, there's something special about Cholula. Not just statistically speaking about the record, right? Holding the record for the largest pyramid. There's something that I can't articulate. And this goes the same for many of these archaeological sites. Every time I visit a pyramid, I can't help but be present. And even that word isn't sufficing to what I'm trying to articulate it. But you can't help but be aware of every breath you take, of your consciousness, your thought process, everything that went through to build that, the sacrifice that went into that. Like, imagine the resources that go into building not just the large pyramid, but the largest pyramid. Numero uno. Every time I've been able to go out there, it's been nothing but that. It's been nothing but gratitude. It's been nothing but just a feeling of being blessed and fortunate to be part of this culture and to be part of this legacy and inherit some of that. Because that's not something you wash off, man. You don't wash that off in the shower. That's not something that comes off with a change of clothes, That's something that you carry with you. I think it also shows in boxing. Boxing is a great way of seeing the soul and the determination in the Mexican people. We have the most boxing champions in the world happen to be Mexican. The records, of course, air quotes because it's not actual records, but the records might say America and then Mexico. But if you're a critical thinker and you look at it objectively and you see all the paper champions that America has had, people like Deontay Wilder or things like that. These paper champions don't count. That's a technicality. That was given to you. You were spoon-fed this title of a champion. The Mexican fighters have to earn that from the trenches. They get chosen from less advantageous positions, such as like maybe a small mom and pop gym, or less resources, a small town secluded where people would think, oh, how's that guy gonna beat this world champion, air quotes, right? This guy with all this hype and promotion. It's not just the determination in the individual, it has something to do with the bloodline. I think there's something that we have wired in us that still connects us to this ancient timeline, this engineering capability of being able to achieve things that to this day aren't being done, to be able to shape basalt and granite and tonnage. We're talking, right, 50 tons, 100 tons, 168 tons. I think there's one that's slightly larger than that in Oaxaca. It's somewhere around like 180 tons to 200 tons, but it's not shaped like the largest megalith in all of the continent from north to south, which would be that piece that's in Mexico City, which I mentioned in the previous video. So I wanted to just highlight that, mention how special that place is to me. I'd like to see if any of you out there have traveled, have had any personal experiences. Outside of positivity, I'd like to end with this one thing that goes into what I've talked about in the previous video about the largest megalith, is that there's also going to be a lot of gaslighting going on. A lot of people don't get fascinated by this history because there's been gaslighting of my people saying that there's anything from unaliving people, women, children, for ritualistic purposes, air quotes. You know, can I see some forensic evidence? Can you show me, please, these mass graves? Because I've traveled most of Mexico, at least where the archaeological sites are, and I've yet to find them. So please, down below, include any type of mass graves of where this has been happened, where this took place, and where I can find these graves, because I'll visit it next time I go. But what I'm trying to show to you guys is there's a lot of gaslighting going on, unfortunately, based off of colonialism, institutions, the establishment, the status quo of wanting to perceive America and modern day society as something larger than it really is. Sorry about that noise, because it seems like one of the cruise ships is about to take off, or there's something going on. I don't really care. So I'm gonna have to cut the video short because that's probably gonna be annoying. But keep in mind, there's a lot of salt being thrown in ancient history, and if you want to go deeper and deeper, it looks like it stopped. If you want to go deeper and deeper and enlighten yourself and inform yourself, not just take somebody's word for it or read something you've seen on the internet on the top 3-5 listings and you're done with it. Actually put the work in and let me know if you find any type of evidence, forensic evidence for that, because it's easy to say that a culture does that. It's easy to throw shade and gaslight any culture. Like, would it be fair for anybody to say that America has a mass problem of people unaliving innocent civilians because of one person, because one person had an incident with firearms and had a mass incident that took many people's, you know, lives, as an example? Would it be fair to blame every American citizen for that? Would it be fair to say that all Americans are nothing more than that, than people who seek to unalive people and seek to cause harm to innocent people? Of course not, right? That's a broad generalization. Not only is it that, but it's blasphemy. You're literally you're gaslighting. You're throwing dirt in the water. You're mudding the waters for whatever agenda you have. Because under my criteria, what I know to be is of a mass problem of unaliving people is sending young men and women, particularly men, on the front lines to these foreign wars to fuel these bankers' objectives and the military-industrial complex. How is that not a mass issue? And I'm not one to get into politics, but I just like to stick to the forensic evidence and be critical about this. Don't look at it as I'm team this, I'm team that. If you're seeing a country that has a legacy of long wars, short wars, and young people going off to these wars, and there's plenty of footage of their regrets at the last moment where they're begging for their parents, they're begging for their mother to get them out of that scenario, and nobody's there for them. But yet this military continues to exist. We perpetuate this military with our tax dollars. Some people go as far as to support it blatantly with merch, with their time, being patriotic, right? It all comes down to conditioning the people. And the minute you get out of these boxes of trying to be like ideologically associated with them, regardless of of them being wrong or right, these institutions, these cultures, we should step outside of that and say, you know what? How is this beneficial to society? How is this actual information? How are we informing people in the future? Right? Because YouTube and the internet's really good at censorship, right? So if there's things that are unfactual or misinformation, they're really quick to put notes on there to discourage you from going further down that topic. But yeah, it's okay for public military support, and that's never being brought up. I'm not going to go down the politics rabbit hole, but I wanted to say that that's been said about my people. You're always going to hear these engineering marvels, but then there's going to say, well, there was a tradition of unaliving innocent people and giving it to the sun gods. Like, what do you know? You have a legacy of lying. Your culture is a legacy of lying. All I'm asking is forensic evidence, because the stones don't lie, right? I'm seeing a society that's built engineering marvels that aren't done to this day and won't be done possibly until a far distant future that reaches some type of enlightenment and collective consciousness. So I say that, and I'll end the video. And I want to appreciate everybody who's out here. These videos where I touch on archaeology, I'm gonna do part 2s, part 3s, and we're just gonna keep touching on this because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I put a lot of time and effort, and I've sacrificed a lot of resources to put myself out there and looking for these archaeological sites, as well in America. But there's no pyramids in America. There's some dirt mounds if you go towards Ohio that could be interpreted as the native indigenous people of America, or like the cousins of Mexico, that they were building mounds out in, I think it's called the Cahokia mounds, out in Illinois, Ohio. You can see Serpent Mound. There's just a general area up in there where there was clearly a connection of civilizations, and the difference in architecture is showing you that they were different, but they were communicating. And a society who's hell-bent on doing evil things, such as hurting innocent people, women and children, that society or those people are not gonna, on that same breath, they're not gonna go build the largest pyramid in the world. They're not gonna go build the largest megalith from the north to south continent. Right? You show me that example in this society where an evil person from scratch builds something that's gonna withstand the test of time. Bad people aren't looking past in the future, or else you wouldn't be a bad person, right? You definitely wouldn't impose violence on somebody if you were in your right state of mind, right? So thank you guys. Stay tuned. Leave any comments down below.